What's up, guys? Welcome back. Bear down. I'm not dead. Even though it got real close, there. I have had a nasty viral thing. Middle of the day, I'm feeling a little bit better than most of the day. So we're going to try to kick this in real quick. I'm not going deep right now. I am going to get into every single one of these players. I think one thing that nobody else is really pointing out, Luke Elkin has a really good shot of making this roster. He was the long snapper for Torrey Taylor. Nobody else is pointing that out for some reason, but Torrey Taylor's entire time at Iowa, it was Luke Elkin. So expect that to be one roster spot where I can see Scott Daly not making this roster. But Ryan Poles was on ESPN 1000 today. I'm going to talk very briefly about that. Let's cover these guys up while I go to Ryan Poles. The biggest thing I took from that was he really does feel like everyone on this roster is getting a fresh start. You've made the 90-man roster. Even rookie minicamp is coming up. So that's been announced. It's the 9th through the 12th. There are two options. They could do the 2nd through the 4th or the 9th through the 11th. Sorry, 9th through the 11th, excuse me. And they have, this is going to be more of like a live session, not edited and everything, because I just got to get this out for you guys. So it is going to be more like a fresh roster start. Everyone on this roster. In fact, when he was asked about the offensive tackle position, it sounded like Darnell Wright was pretty secure at right tackle. They're not going to play around with this moving back and forth from right to left. And it's really going to be more of Ozzie Trapillo, Braxton Jones, and Karan Amagaji battling it out for that left tackle position. Now, there are many implications for that. One thing would be is if Ozzie does really well, but they want to move him in slowly and not make him be a starter year one. That's really good for the Bears because Braxton Jones, if he starts the majority of this year and plays the high caliber, someone's going to sign him for huge. We'll get a 3rd round comp pick if that's what happens. Or if we trade him at the deadline and he's doing really well, we feel good with Ozzie. There's a lot of options. We've set ourselves up really well by having the depth at offensive tackle. Now, the crazy news out there lately is everybody in these stupid, idiotic, I mean, I have no other way to say it, but it's stupid, saying that we're going to trade Cole Kmet or DJ Moore. Guys, 2 years ago, we were clamoring, we were begging for offensive weapons. We wanted it so bad on this team, and now we have weapons. I mean, we just signed Luther Burden, who I'm going to get into that video. I've gotten that one pretty much prepared, but I'm dying. I tried to record a video last night and I just couldn't do it. Like, it's just timing's off. So got to take a step back sometimes. We had fun during the draft. It's been a blast, and I'm going to keep coming out. We're good. We're good. We're going to have fun with this thing. So I'm going to get into the updated roster. There were 2 mistakes on the initial reporting. So 4 days ago, I reported the 10 guys who were signed as undrafted free agents. Well, 2 of them weren't actually signed. They were brought in for rookie minicamp. And if you remember, every year, this rookie minicamp, which is going to be the 9th through the 11th, there's 40, 50 guys. Now, that includes our 8 draft picks. That's going to include the 10 undrafted free agents, but it's also going to include 20 or 30 rookie minicamp invites. Now, the Bears have sent out about 15 invites. 4 of those guys have accepted invites. I'm sorry. Is it 17 invites and 4 of them? Either way, 4 have declined and decided to go other places because they feel like they have a more competitive shot. One of them to the Saints, NIU player, decided to go to the Saints rookie minicamp, one of the Seattle minicamp. So they choose which minicamp they want to go to. And right now, let's just roll through this sucker. So here's what we reported last week. You see Gio Paez and Cole Nelson are actually rookie minicamp invites. They were reported initially as undrafted free agents. I haven't had a chance to come on here and correct it, but those 2 were not undrafted free agent signings. These are rookie minicamp signings. You can see there's 13 of them. So 4 of them is declining. There's 13 so far confirmed. And there's some good ones in here. All 3 of those offensive linemen are solid sized and decent guys that come in here to compete. So Sebastian Pears, Emmett Bull, Vershawn Lee, Eastern Illinois, Arizona State, South Carolina, all big guys, 6'6", 6'4", 310 to 314 pounds. So Jeremiah Hunter is actually a really interesting prospect for wide receiver. Our wide receiver room is stacked. How do we get any deeper? Maybe one of these guys takes. So if one of these guys on the rookie minicamp gets offered, someone's going to have to get cut. And that can happen. You know, we could have Chris Williams. We can have Ryan Bates. We can have several guys that could get cut from this roster to make room. I would expect they keep all the undrafted free agents they've already signed. It would be more of a vet player you would think would get cut because they see one of these guys come in and compete and they decide they want to take one of these guys instead. So Jordan Mahoney at corner, 3 cornerbacks, an edge, linebacker, punter, and a defensive tackle. I almost think the punter's got to stick around through 90-man camp. You need 2 punters, right? Who's going to get cut? We'll see some cuts happen because we have 90 on the roster now. Thomas Gordon is a really solid prospect as well at tight end. Do they decide to bring him into 90-man camp? If so, who do they cut? So there's got to be something happening before 90-man camp if we're going to stick with one of these guys from rookie minicamp. And there will be more announced as well. But these are the rookie minicamp invites. And then here's your undrafted free agent signings. You can see the 2 that replaced him is, man, I'm all over the place today, guys. Sorry. Deion Hankins, Texas State. I mentioned several times we'll probably bring in another running back. So we've done that. Deion Hankins, more of a big-bodied, complements really well. So it'll be interesting to see his role in the 90-man camp and if he can carve out a spot. The other interesting thing when we were talking about Ryan Poles' interview on ESPN 1000, I'm not going to go deep into that. I want to keep this semi-short. Excuse me. But Ryan Poles, when mentioning different spots, they were talking about the running back room. He first mentioned Roschon Johnson. I don't think he was slamming DeAndre Swift by any means. I think it was more of the assumption that everyone knows DeAndre Swift is running back 1. But he mentioned Roschon Johnson and how the prior coaching staff regime basically didn't use him properly. And now they're going to have a chance to. The same with Ian Wheeler, and he spoke highly of him. And then he talked about bringing in Kyle Monangai as well. So it's going to be really interesting. He mentioned those 3 guys. So they're very happy with these guys, and it's going to be interesting to see how we use this in tandem. The other one is Jeremy Robinson, and both the thing that sticks out in my semi-small analysis of these 2 so far, both good run-stopping edges that fit Dennis Allen's size edges. So 6'6", 273, 6'3", 255, both good sized edges, and both are good at stopping the run. Neither of them got elite pressure, but I don't know if they're looking for that as much as they're looking for a physical sized body and what they're going for with how they're going to use them in the scheme. So bringing both these guys in is very interesting. Ryan Poles also talked about the safety position, Major Burns, as well as Tasheem Johnson. And so both of them will have a shot to make the 90-man roster as well. And he used the word developmental several times. In fact, Tasheem Johnson reports vary on his size between 5'5" and 5'10". So he is a smaller safety. Major Burns is such a good sized, perfect NFL size safety that didn't quite put up the production numbers. I mean, he could put weight on and be a linebacker. So with, having all the way from nickel sets, all the way to dime sets, having 6 defensive backs on the field, these options that they're going to have this year could be really interesting as we get into it. So we're going to break down some of these players a little bit later, but I just want to give the updates to the roster and what actually changed on the roster and how it looks. So here's, some of the, I'm going to go through the analysis later. Right now I'm not up to giving a full breakdown of all the roster, but I am breaking them all down. You can see this is some of the, if you want to pause it, you can see some of the stuff on some of these guys. But anyways, so Xavier Carlson, you can see his last year, it really started to come on stronger with all his different grades. Started at Utah, went to Cal, but his run defense is really, really solid. So I think he has a good shot of making the roster out of anybody. So anyway, so here's your running backs. Kyle Monangai added in there, and then Deion Hankins as well. You can see he's added to the 90-man camp. And then nothing really changes there. Nothing changes. Well, yeah, nothing changes on your wide receivers from what I reported 4 days ago, but here's the difference on this one, Jeremy Robinson and Xavier Carlton, and then the defensive tackle is a mini camp invite, so we'll see what happens there, but this is how your defensive line looks. Move into the linebackers and nickelbacks. Power Eccles is actually an interesting prospect as well. We'll get into all of them in the next couple weeks. We got a couple weeks until minicamp, and then you see Tasheem Johnson there. So, and then Luke Elkin, I think, could take Scott Daly's position. So that's going to be it. Other than that, for Ryan Poles' interview, he did not set the expectation as just barely making the playoffs this year, and then going from there. He set the expectation that this is a team that needs to be ready to make a run now, that we need to be winning. We need to be Super Bowl bound ASAP, and talking about how, some of those adversities from years before weren't quite there. And he talked very highly about Ben Johnson and how Ben Johnson is going to bring that mindset to be a championship mindset to this team. So I guess start setting your expectations for the Super Bowl this year. That's basically what he gave there. So I know this is a quick rundown. just a couple changes on the undrafted free agents. We are at 90 man. And for those who are saying that we don't fit the salary cap right now, I'll do a salary cap video later. We're within the salary cap. This time of year, the big thing to remember is 90 man camp allows that you only count the top 51 contracts. We're within range of the salary cap. I do expect some cuts to be made. I would almost expect Ryan Bates to be cut at this point, and even Chris Williams. I don't know. These are speculations. I hate to get too deep into the speculations, but we are within the salary cap. We're not in salary cap hell. We're tight this year. And next year, the interesting thing is next year we've actually spent more salary cap next year with fewer players on the roster than this year, because we backloaded a lot of those contracts. So it'll be interesting to see how we navigate this thing, but we could be getting into a territory where we start getting comp picks for players we have to let go. Maybe Joe Thuney. Now, he did mention on there that they expect Joe Thuney's contract to be done soon. So I don't know if that's fluff because they want to keep everyone happy, or if they actually are working on it. But if they add Joe Thuney to that mix, we are very heavy next year on the salary cap. So it's going to be interesting to follow this thing as we go along into the off season. So either way, we're good this year. We focus on the now. We get these guys into camp. We let these mini camp invites. Let me go back to that page real quick. Here's the mini camp invites. So 3 offensive linemen, a wide receiver, 2 tight ends, 3 cornerbacks, an edge, linebacker, a punter, and a defensive tackle. And some of these guys had to choose between different camps, and they chose the Bears. So Gio Paez actually has me a little bit excited as well. I hope he can find a way onto this roster, onto the 90-man roster. A lot of these guys, unlike other years, I don't expect really any of the undrafted free agents or rookie minicamp to make the actual 53-man roster. It's going to be these guys making the practice squad. Last year, Ian Wheeler was set to make the 53-man roster. In fact, he did, but then he went to injury designation. But and then the year before, we've had someone every year from undrafted, but we're becoming that competitive of a team. So this is a good position for the Bears to be in. Some of these cornerbacks are actually, and you can see the Bears focusing on cornerback this year. In fact, it's not Za, even though Ryan Poles pronounced his name Za in the press conference several times. It's Zay. Zay Frazier. A man cornerback, man-to-man. And there's going to be some of these corners that they're bringing in. Devin Kirkwood, 6'3", 205 pounds. I mean, these guys can move. So there's going to be some competition on this team, and I love it. So let me know what you guys think, though. Are you excited for rookie minicamp? Are you excited for the Bears to get back into action? I'm ready for it. We're getting closer. We're 3 months away from preseason football now. So I've drug this thing on. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Until next time, hopefully we're completely back to full health next time. But until next time, Del Bears and bear down. Sports making Chicago proud.